How's everybody doing? Where y'all from? It's been a while since we both been on camera together. How we living? We living great. We woke up this morning. It's a great day, guys. Ready to start this thing off?
Let's do it. Give me that.
I just said a bar. I have no idea about this.
Well, that's
come on, man.
That's a young hater.
Yeah, don't forget your back, brother.
It hurt now. I don't know what I'm doing.
What's the damn deal?
What's going on, people?
How long has it been? 3 weeks since we've been on? Since we've been on same time?
On the same channel for sure. Yeah. Because I popped in that one episode, but it's been a couple of weeks since we've been back.
And the internet's been hating on us.
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't hear you. Dropping all that jewelry, but yeah. So damn, this first time. What the hell? Where do we start? It's been so long.
What you been up to, man? What you been up to? What's going on? What's going on?
Because they haven't seen us.
What's going on with in your world?
Well, I made it. I was on Sunday Night Football last night.
Oh yeah, you were on
next to the Rock with these whack glasses on. I need my money, NBC. I need my money. Everything's good, man. Just busy. Got my game today. Flag football game today. We 1-1. Going for that W again today.
Okay, got your nice streak going.
Yeah, well, it's only one.
It's a streak. I'm going straight.
We won today to be a streak. That's it, man. Just staying busy. Book. Got to go to a wedding soon. Growing my facial hair out, that's a big thing. So
that's a huge thing. That should take weeks and weeks for you to do it, right? It takes a while.
About months.
Months, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
So I'm sticking to the goatee.
You gonna stick to it for a while?
Everything's good, man. I can't complain. I'm happy, in a good space, healthy. Jobs coming. So I'm back in my creative work mode space, so I'm happy about that.
Nice.
What about you, man?
Man, it's been a whirlwind, man. I went down to Atlanta, filmed a TV show for about a month. Did that. Went to the Bahamas to kind of reset for a couple of days. Came back out here to LA, man. It's been it's funny. I never really want to get back to LA like quickly. Like it's not like a thing, but I was ready to get back because I'm like in this mode of work and things are going well for me as well. personally, outside of work as well. So
in these streets
a little bit, having fun, enjoying myself. But yeah, right now,
expand on that.
But I'm writing my book. I'm not writing my book. That's you. I'm writing a movie right now, and it's so crazy. Like it's gonna be so good, guys. Like I'm in this space where it's like this movie's gonna be very informative, very life-changing for me. So it's been good. It's been good for me, man. I'm in that space really and enjoying that. It's been good.
Well, good, man.
Yeah.
Tell us about how y'all doing. Y'all good fortunes in the chats. So today we're a little behind, 2 weeks behind. So we're behind on information, a week behind the news cycle.
Yeah.
So we can talk about the Kavanaugh confirmation. Aaron Hernandez, the story came out. He was sexually molested and had a relationship with the guy. We can touch on that.
Yeah.
Bill Cosby outrage.
Yep.
People feel like this sentence should be more lenient because of we'll touch on that.
Hey! Bill Cosby, baby.
Eric Reed coming back. He signed the Carolina Panthers. Congrats to him.
Yep.
But he's still dealing. So what do we think about that?
Yep.
And Monique made some comments about the Cat Williams and Kevin Hart going back and forth and how. That's it. Her comments about that, how black people only have one or two icons versus white people have multiple, and there's no need for them.
We're good to go. So you want to go back? So you want to start with who?
The Kavanaugh.
Okay.
The Kavanaugh confirmation. What are your thoughts on that? He got confirmed. I'll be honest, I wasn't surprised. I kind of figured he would get confirmed.
You mean the appointed?
Appointed.
Okay.
Supreme
Court.
I'm not surprised. I kind of figured once they said FBI limited scope, it was BS from that. And how do you not interview people coming forward with telling their story of their experiences with him or other people that were around him?
Right.
My thoughts on it were honestly was that if they did an in-depth investigation, they would have found more. Not just about him, but about his cronies. All the guys he hangs around on the Hill and Senate and Congress, hey, even 45 probably, Donald Trump, right? So my whole opinion, they're always going to
protect their own.
Yeah. So I wasn't surprised, and now somebody did him a favor, handshake, and now he's confirmed and he owes somebody something.
Yeah, for sure.
At some point they're gonna come tap on his shoulder like, hey, remember that one time you would have went down?
Yeah.
So,
but the thing about that, man, I think they appointed who they wanted to appoint. They got the man that they wanted to have a job in. Like you said, I think eventually down the line he's gonna have to pay it forward to somebody who knows who that is, and we will never know probably. But I think the thing with this story is it's not over yet. He's in. He's gonna be in for it. He's gonna serve his time. He's gonna do his job and do whatever is needed for him as in his position, right? But after, I want to see what happens after, when he's not in that position and he's served his time and he's kind of, his course has kind of been ran. I want to see what happens after that. Well, that's the part that I think is going to happen.
The thing for me is now, if you can go back 35, 36 years of somebody's life, if I'm on if I got if you can do that to one man, everybody's like, oh, we all got shit.
Yeah.
If you can go back 35 years, it opens up the whole field to everybody's fair game now.
Right.
Everybody,
all of them.
But my whole point, I had a conversation with a guy, he was like, it happened 35, 36 years ago. Why would she come forward? I was like, are you kidding me? I said, why not? Like, whether it was 30 years ago, whether it was 40 years ago, if you rape somebody, and he's like, well, it's the culture, those times were different. I said, that's the problem. Like, unconsciously, we think that it's okay as a culture, but you're calling somebody 15, 20, 30 years of trauma. And at 18 years old, I don't care if it was the 80s, if you're putting your hands over somebody's mouth to shut them up with a group of guys, that's wrong.
Man,
I don't care about the time period.
And right, the thing about that, think about the psychology of that though. Like, for the woman that's going through that and actually having to live life and tiptoe and navigate through this world where it's men driven anyway. So to go through that process of not having any justice at that age, and to actually deal with it moving forward as a young woman, then as an adult woman, then just think about how her relationships have been with other guys and other people, and after that. So it's just
her quality of life.
It's a very difficult thing. It's a very touchy subject.
Yeah. Did you believe her?
I didn't see her interview. Like, I didn't see her do her thing and speak her truth or get her truth. I didn't see it, so I'm not sure. But it's a crazy game, because there are situations where, and I think we both know this, that some of this stuff could be false information, and a lot of it's true. And so when you have those things that kind of run into each other, then it's like, I don't know. But I can't say hers because I didn't see her situation. I didn't see her.
I watched it, and I think we touched on this when you weren't here after you got off last time, and I told people don't understand how trauma works, right? Like, we can suppress things. You have people who can be intimate with somebody and block them out of their mind and put their mind somewhere else. Yeah. If you can do that, then trauma, how our brains work, it naturally protects us, so it suppresses things and compartmentalizes it to where it protects us, so we don't have to worry about it. But we don't know that it manifests in other spaces, like you said, in relationships, in other aspects of life, with how we raise our kids. Me seeing a yellow flower triggers me, I get anxious, I start sweating. Yeah. I don't know why that is, but every time that act happened, or when it happened, it was a yellow flower. Right. People don't understand how, with trauma that I've experienced, I didn't remember that it actually was real till I was 25. And then to get to probably a few years ago, we're like, oh, you have to deal with this. You have to go down this rabbit hole, and really, because you don't know how it's affected, how you broken hearts, how you get your connection with your family. You don't realize until you're like, holy shit. Yeah. This has been affecting me my whole life. But then we talk about cultures, right? Like, if you look at they're going to protect their own, right? Look at football. Whatever happens in the locker room stays in the locker room, right? Yeah. At some point, I've lied for my friends and they were cheating. I went to their girlfriend's face like, no, he wasn't, and I lied for them. It's always been a culture where we protect our own. So when we say, oh, well, how could they do this? I'm like, we've all done that in some capacity, right, wrong, or different, to protect somebody that we say, we care about. So I look at culture that we create, or little communities that we create where we do the same things. Yeah. Now, because he's in an important position,
right,
it becomes huge. You know, so like it's that's how I feel about it. We've all done it in one way, you know, or another. Somebody commented that we've become so numb to things happening that it's unfortunate. I'm like, I'm not numb to it. I just know the game and how it's going to come. And I think more people need to like. And I'm not saying that him getting confirmed is right. I just understand what we're dealing with and what's on the back end of it. I think we understand that, but some people don't. So
I agree.
I believe her, honestly. When I watch her, I believe her.
Yeah.
For her to come forward 36, what does she have to gain?
Right.
But public ridicule, like, what does she have to gain?
Okay. I mean, obviously timing's not super important, but what do you think about the timing of it? Like, obviously it came to, she spoke her truth when it came out, so that's perfect timing for her. I get it. But what about the timing of as far as in his defense? Like, the fact that he's been appointed.
So after you got off, I touched on that. I said it was the timing of it could be coincidence because they want control of the Senate, and if they get control of the Senate, they can any nomination that Trump makes, he pushed them to the wayside. That's how I looked at it. Like I'm like, and they're using her story because women's abuse or sexual abuse or harassment or rape, you kind of can't. What do you say to that? Mm-hmm. Unless you're Donald Trump, he's an idiot, and he goes on his speech in one of his rants about women, whether he believes it or not. I think it was insensitive on his part. But how can you go against that? Right. How can you say, well, you're wrong because you have to take it into consideration? But when I looked at it from the timing of it, they would have to. Too many things had to lead to a certain place for it to come right now. They would have had to know that this person would have been nominated years ago. Because it's not like she just brought it up months ago. She brought it up, 3 or 4 years ago. Mm-hmm. You know, so too many things would have had to happen for this moment. That's when I read that, I was like, oh, you know what? They would have had to know who was nominated. They would have had to know who was up. They would have had to know.
No, you always know who's coming up in the pipeline. Who's going to be kind of next.
But if it was planned, say 3 or 4 years ago, nobody knows that.
Right.
3 or 4 years ago. You know, so that's how I look at it. I think there should be due diligence on both sides. But also, if you're putting somebody in the highest court in the land, do your due diligence on both sides. Interview everybody. On both sides. Interview her and make sure that he is legit. How he responded on the stand, I didn't like. He didn't show no composure. He was yelling, angry.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, I was just like, you supposed to. So if a case comes across your, how you gonna respond? Will you be partial? So that's how I looked at it.
Like a spoiled frat boy.
Like how dare you? So then I read another article where they were saying, are we addicted to patriarchy? Are we addicted to control and power? It was almost a how dare you, what's the damn word I'm looking for? How dare you accuse me of this such an act? How dare, it was kind of like that. Mm-hmm. Right, like it's like, because that power structure is being attacked by many people. By women, and it's chipping away bit by bit. You're seeing people react.
Yeah. Women are getting tired of it, and that's great. It's great to see. It's great to see women feel empowered and feel like they can say things and get their message across without being scrutinized. And I don't think that's 100% true. I think there's still scrutiny there, but the fact that they feel that they can, it's awesome. I mean, we know how powerful women are, and we know what that title holds, you know. So for us, I mean, to see that, I think it's great. Now, with that being said, we gotta be careful of. Gotta be careful with the timing and stuff like that, man. Like if it's something that bothers you and something that's happened to you, man, I think you should come out and just put it out there and speak your truth. And I know it's hard sometimes. I get it, but I mean, I think now with the way the climate is and the way that we are supporting and getting behind that cause for them, I think they should be, feel empowered and strong enough to come out and do what they gotta do.
I want to make a statement about that because then I'm gonna segue into when you talk about timing. Mm-hmm. The biggest things for me, it wasn't about Kavanaugh. It was really about what message are we sending moving forward. Right. For people who run for positions of power in office, what message are we sending? Are we telling them, no, regardless of what you say, when you come out, this is going to happen. This person is going to achieve this certain type of success. Mm-hmm. What message are we sending to younger boys? Yeah. I mean, that this is okay. I'm not talking about the old people on here who've been running. I'm talking about the younger kids coming up. Like, regardless of whatever I do, whether I treat somebody like shit, emotionally abused, whether I rape somebody, I'm still entitled to the greatest things. I'm still entitled to the fruits of our life or the greatest things of life. That's the message that I was looking at. Like, what are we sending as a message as a country? What are we sending? Mm-hmm. And this one, they said we got to protect our own. And it's one thing if they did their due diligence and there just wasn't enough corroborating evidence. That's one thing.
Yeah.
But when you do a limited scope FBI and you don't even give the investigation a chance, that's why I have a problem with it. That's what they're saying. Oh, her feelings and what she's going through. It's not as important as putting this man on the highest court in the land. That was my biggest thing, the message being sent to our country, basically saying like, oh, it's okay, do your thing.
Right. And before we go, I want to make sure that, because Jerome said something about you can't dictate time and it's irrelevant. I said,
right, yeah.
And I said, I agree. I said, the way she came out in her time was perfect for her. And I said, that's what that means. But I said, moving forward, I want women, I want people to come out and speak their truth and feel like they're going to get the respect from their peers and people outside of their circles too, making it easier thing for them to come out and say what they need to say when they say it. So let's make sure that's clear.
I can see how it came out. It came out a certain type of way, saying like, well, it's perfect timing. I think the timing was more perfect for the Democrats because it was perfect for them, right? For her, I don't think I would say, hey, the minute it happens, say it. But I don't know what position somebody's in.
100%.
To say so timing. For me, I feel like timing shouldn't even matter. Just understand like the longer people are just going to come at you even. I don't even think of timing. I think if you say it in general, people are going to have.
Whenever you say it, it's perfect timing. But what I'm saying is, don't be scared of that. Don't be scared of the fallback or anything that can happen to fall out from it. Just come out and do it. Like we're here to support you. Like you're not alone. And that's what I'm saying. It's not even about do it right now, but you can.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. That's why like women need more support from us to feel comfortable that hey, we have guys. So when enough guys don't come out and support, like openly support, I've talked to some guys and through other people, these aren't friends of mine, where they were like, I think that the attention is always more on the accuser than the actual accused in the act that was done.
Harold P81 said it took me 40 years. I don't know exactly what that is, but if he's talking about having the strength to come to speak about something, to speak of some hardship that he's went through, so we applaud you.
Yeah, we applaud you. So I want to say because there was a recent report. Let's go to Aaron Hernandez. We know he killed himself. There was before the actual story just came out, there was rumors of him having a relationship with another man.
Yeah, and junior high school.
Yeah, right. So and it came out that he was sexually abused.
Yep.
As a kid.
Right.
So so when we talk about timing, and this is a question that was posed to me, when we look at the amount of women who don't speak out or speak their truth, how many men don't speak out?
A lot.
Right? Is it? Right. And here's my question to anybody in here: is it harder for men to come forward than it is for women?
I mean,
because the second as a man, because society tells you how to be a man.
Yeah.
So if you come out, the first thing, how could you let that happen to you? You're a man. Mm-hmm. You're immediately emasculated.
Yeah.
Immediately you're looked at as less than, or men feel like they're less than, whether it was when it happened when you was a kid.
Right.
As an adult, look at. That's why I applaud Terry Crews for saying what he said when he came out. And the first thing you got people coming out, well, you're not a man, or people come. I'm like, bro, this happened.
Right. Obviously, by societal standards, yeah.
And this is not a comparison of well, it's hard for men. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that the amount of women who don't come out, which is of low. How many men did these things happen to? Child molestation or abuse.
Plus, it's hard. It's hard to speak about anything
because I think it's on both sides. Like this happens a lot.
Oh, it's very hard. Frequent thing. It's very hard. But yeah, I mean, it's very hard for anybody to admit that, to say something like that happened to them. So I mean, just being a human being, like you're human, like to have those emotions and to feel the way you feel, to feel like you've been hurt and neglected, and nobody cares, or you can't tell anybody the truth, or you can't tell somebody and they will believe it, because that's a big thing too. Like you have, especially with kids, like you have kids saying, because kids say a lot of things. So for a kid to say they've been molested or feel a certain way,
kids speak the truth.
They speak the truth, but they say whatever. And so it's so much. So for you to say, man, my uncle molested me when I was 9. To say that to somebody's brother or mother, to believe that their brother did that to their daughter or son, like that's you can't fathom that. Especially like if that's your brother or your sister, like to have that connection there, then to see this happen to your daughter and have that person, somebody that you love or somebody that you've been giving your life to and been around so much, to know that they could do that to this small individual, just doesn't register that way. So that shit's hard to think about.
Yeah.
So that using that dynamic.
Yeah. Think about how powerful kids are, because kids know when something is wrong. Kids know when something is wrong, but they still have. You have kids who won't say anything to protect family lines.
For sure.
They have the wherewithal to say like, "Hey, I'm not going to state it because my mom or my dad might respond this way." And it might mess up the whole family dynamic.
Yeah.
And we have somebody in here, Harold P. say he was sexually molested. I can say the same thing happened to me as well. And I didn't say anything because I suppressed it so much that I questioned if it even happened.
Right.
This is how trauma works. But when you go back and I look at how when I go back how I was in relationships with women, like how I protect myself, how closed off I was, I'm like, oh. Yeah, I was only doing this because of certain things. I didn't hold hands because they held my hand when they took me into the bedroom.
Right.
And for some women, oh, you're closed off, you're not intimate, but I didn't understand or know at that moment. So any man who comes forward, any person who comes forward, it's phenomenal. But I was looking at it for even me. I just got comfortable within the last year in being able to speak on it and say it publicly.
Yeah.
You know, it's a hard thing because how am I looked at?
Yeah.
Am I going to look at less than? You tell some women they might not be supportive. They might, and I can say this, and I love my dad, and I'm sharing my truth and my story with anybody. When I talked to my dad, I told my dad, you know, the first question he asked me was I gay?
Really?
He asked me, did I like? Because I shared something. I was like, Dad, there was a point in my childhood where I was confused. Like, was love this? Was love that? Like. And he was like, well, how do you feel now? And I'm like, Dad, I love women. But that was one of the first things, and I was like, holy shit. But that's him. Like, I got mad at first.
Yeah.
But that was his experience, and I want him to share. And my dad loves me. Like, you raised me in a certain. It's not okay for some people. People still have a thing with that. But I guess I don't have a kid yet to know if your son is homeless or your daughter or.
Think about the dynamic though. As a young man, young woman, whatever, you get sexually molested or abused by the same sex as a youngster. That's probably, and that's usually their first experience with any kind of relationship, any kind of physical relationship, sexual relationship, whatever the case may be. So to have that image of something happening to you, and as a kid not knowing what that means, to have that as your first experience. It fucks with you. Like you can't even identify with what love is, who you're attracted to, whatever.
Like
we
barely know our bodies.
It's tough.
So that's why, and this is why Hollywood has an issue. We don't if a little girl, it's a rite of passage or conquest if a younger man's with an older woman.
Yeah.
We encourage that. Well, I don't, but as a kid, it's encouraged to be with the older woman. Right. But if a younger female with the older guy, oh, you should burn in hell and go to jail. Yeah. Just that dynamic alone is a problem. And it's the environment, it's the culture that we're raising young men in. Like, we need to start raising, it's kind of opposite. It's okay to cry. You're not a girl. Mm-hmm. It's okay to cry. It's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay. Because not doing those things is what causes all these dysfunctional relationships with women of the opposite sex. And I firmly believe this. Especially with men, the relationship that they have with their mother is the type of relationship they're going to have with other women. If he treats his mother like shit,
right?
Bad relationship, that's how he's going to be in a relationship. And look at it's easy to fall in love with the person, right? Look at the environment, because that environment that they were raised in is kind of what you're going to, I'm not saying you're going to get some parts of it.
Yeah.
It's not always 100% this is how it's going to be.
It's not.
But it gives you an idea, but especially for men, I always look at the relationship they have with their mother.
Yeah.
That's going to tell you how they're going to treat women. And you know, me being raised by a single mother of 5 kids on her own, I'm more empathetic and compassionate to certain things, probably more so than the average person should be. I'm totally understanding because I saw the things that my mom lacked and what she wanted. You know, so it's an interesting thing, man, when we talk about trauma and bringing these things out, because it's not easy on either side. And this is a conversation that both men, it's something I feel like we can build on. Sure. Build a bridge, because whether it's sexual abuse, emotional abuse, sometimes emotional abuse is just as
yeah, it depends on how
abuse is taking advantage of somebody who can't fend for themselves.
Yeah.
Somebody who's emotionally abused has the same response somebody who's sexually abused. Certain symptoms might be different, but we still feel, the same way.
It's crazy, but you talk about all this and you talk about the trauma and what it causes any young individual going through, abuse and the whole deal. Imagine this guy, Hernandez, who's a big guy, a big masculine guy, football player on top of that. Put him in that world, as confused as he was, and you can just see this was coming for him. And it's so, I hate to say that, like, you don't want to talk about anybody committing murder and then suicide and whatever, but like the confusion there and the trauma and the fact that he just got sentenced to life in prison forever. Like that end game is just not going to be good.
Somebody failed him early, man.
Bad.
Like, just how do we, when we find out, and I haven't seen the documentary yet, but I'm gonna watch it. Mm-hmm. But when I hear about some of the things that he was doing, and people just kind of just swept down the road because he was such a talented,
such a good dude,
athlete.
Yeah.
Right. And a lot of times, as athletes, we disassociate from who we are on the field, on the court. It's totally different off. So what happens is that we start using that sport. I'm gonna focus on athletes. That sport as a distraction away from our shit.
It's
our problem.
It's a chance to get away from the real world.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why you see that aggressiveness. That's why you see guys go so hard, because for some, that's all they got. Mm-hmm. I'll be honest, for me, the only place where I felt like people would listen is if I was knocking somebody's head off. Mm-hmm. That was my chip. That was my motivation, but it was misguided. Because the minute that thing was gone, now what?
Yeah. Same. Yeah.
What is it? Like who am I? Where's that edge? I can't just knock somebody's head off now.
Yeah.
Who's gonna listen to me? That's how I felt.
That identity is gone. Like, that's not who you are anymore. That doesn't even help you in your real life. Like, that's some of that stuff, some of the principles, some of the things that we learn as far as that, and that being in that world, in that sport, transpiring now to where we are now. Obviously, there are some things. It's like schedules, being on time, like stuff like that, like schematic stuff. But as far as like being emotional and like being a real human being in the real world, to show compassion, to be empathetic, to actually listen and understand that other people's opinions matter, like we're so behind, and not us in general, because we've worked on it. We've actively took on this journey to better ourselves and be better individuals. But imagine the guys that haven't, to go into the real world and try to function as an adult, as a human being, as a man. It's so tough. So, I mean, it's tough.
And I think even more so, we've been talking about a couple topics for a few weeks now about let's cover male toxic masculinity amongst men and that culture. And for us to show our experience, because we at some point we had toxic masculinity, trying to prove ourselves, and what's an alpha man. Right, so those are things that I know we're going to touch on as when there's an actual topic of it. But when I look at some guys, men out here, some peers, and I get it, and it's because we've all had that transition. We've chosen to look inwards and do that work. Where some, I can look at people and I see it so quickly. I'm like, oh, he's overcompensating for something.
Right.
Well, I can tell when somebody has some trauma just by watching their energy and how they are, how they treat women. I can look at people and tell they've been abused, sexually abused, just by actions and how they treat people. It's one of those things where anybody who says they're an alpha male isn't an alpha male.
Right, you have to say it.
If you have to say it, you're not one.
Right.
Just be it.
Right.
Right, like if you're great, let other people speak for you, just be great. Mm-hmm. So it's what is that? And it's sometimes we look for the strongest, biggest, strongest person in the room, and sometimes it's not. Sometimes that small person who doesn't need that.
Yeah, it's almost as simple as when you see the most rowdy guy at the bar. The most rowdy guy at the bar is probably the weakest guy at the bar. He's trying to exude this masculine thing that he has, and trying to be the dominant person by over speaking everybody and being braggadocious and that guy. But the guy sitting in the corner that's not saying anything, I'm sure he's probably the black belt that could probably kill him with one finger, like destroy him with one finger. But he's over there quiet actually in himself because he's content with who he is, and he knows who he is and what the meaning of a real alpha male is. And I think, we're gonna discuss what that means later on, but I think that's the issue, and you can see it. I mean, the guy that's the big guy, the strong guy in the room is not that guy.
Yeah, it's interesting because we're all alpha in some aspect, and we're all subtypical in something. So you can be alpha on the football field, but we're subtypical, or we do poorly in expressing ourselves in emotions.
Right.
But everybody's good at alpha in some way. Some people know what they're good at, and you don't even try. Like when you got on the field, you don't try. You just get out there and you just play. Right? It's not even work. It's just like it just fits. It just fits. If you have to try to work at something, you don't have to try to work at being great or being good at something. It just is. If you're a good person, you're going to be a good person. Are we human and we have our moments?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Sure.
If you're going to stand up for women, you're going to stand up for women, regardless of whatever it is. It shouldn't be dictated by what other people say and how they do or what everybody else is posting. I think that's where things are coming from. It's cool to post about women. It was cool. When we look at the whole Bill Cosby thing.
Yeah.
Everybody wanted to post Bill. Well, it's not fair. His sentence should be more lenient. I'm like, no, he should go to fucking prison.
Right.
He raped.
Yeah.
He talked about it publicly in interviews. Like, no, we're not giving him a pass because he's black. Like,
right.
I get why people would say that, but at the same time, I don't. It's like, no, what he did was deserving.
Yeah.
Also, on the other end of it, people who did the same things, we need to speak out. We need to speak out on those things as well. But it's interesting because we're so quick to flip it, and 1 minute we're here, the next thing we pivot, now it's okay. 1 minute everybody's against Bill Cosby.
Yeah.
The next minute, now we're for Bill. Like, guys, what do you want? Are we on the side of right and women getting raped, whether it's black or white, or
do you think they were being more on Bill Cosby's side, or just with the racial issue of it? Like
I think it was a racial issue. I wasn't posting a damn picture. I'm not. What am I posting a picture in support of Bill Cosby for?
Right. No.
Like, what's the
no? That's what I'm saying. Like, I think people get there. It's misguided. It's just like they're just misguided in general. Like, I think they mean well. I would want to think they mean well. I want to think that, right? That they would not support somebody that's a racist. I mean, a rapist. Sorry. Like, you can't. Like, I don't think in your mind you could support that, right? I would think that. So I would think that they were trying to talk about the racial part of it, and people of other races and other colors being able to kind of maneuver these situations and get out kind of unscathed. Yeah. You know what I mean? In a safe way to say. So I would hope that's the issue, and I hope that's really what's being said and what's trying to get across with that. But I would definitely not put Bill Cosby on my page and support what he's doing.
If anything, it just shows just the disparity and the difference in. And I'm like, it's interesting when people say, oh, I want to see color. It's kind of impossible. When you see people like treated, especially black people being treated a certain type of way, how can you not see it? Mm-hmm. The women calling the cops on a little kid for brushing up against her in the store. Like, like it's little stuff like this. And I've heard people, oh, you're black. If I call the cops, who do you think they're gonna believe? Like, these are real fucking things.
I've heard that too. That's crazy.
Like, so that's why I get mad and angry. And we can segue into the whole Monique comments about when I see black people, especially men or anybody, us beefing publicly and not really. This isn't about Trump. This isn't about what Kavanaugh. It's always going to come back to us and our shit. And when are we going to get our house in line until we're willing to confront some of the things that we do? There is this crab in the barrel mentality.
Right.
There is this thing where Monique said, like, white people, there's many icons. They don't compete with each other publicly.
Yeah.
Black people, we only have one or two, whether it be Richard Pryor or Eddie Murphy or Bill Cosby. That's one or two. We hold on to them. We hold on to them so dearly and close to our hearts.
Yeah.
But we compete publicly for each other's spots. We beat with each other. And there's more, we said before, there's more than enough for everyone.
Yeah.
There's more than enough money out here. There's more than enough fame if that's what you want.
Yeah.
That's the frustrating thing for me here and for us as men of color, as black men. Like I feel like we need to speak out more on that because it's not okay. Like, to see two black women beating, it's not okay. Like at what point?
Yeah.
Call that man on the phone. I'm not doing this. Call that man on the phone.
Yeah. No, I think that's the best way. I mean, obviously that's what we would. That's the way we would want that to be handled, right? I think in our community, in the African American community, it's like you said, it's one of those things where for some reason, we feel like there's not enough space for one top dog, right? Mm-hmm. It's when you are the top dog and you've seen how they attack us and you see how one minute they love us and the next moment, rightly so for Bill Cosby, but I mean he's the top of the food chain. He's about to buy a network. Like this is how big he was, and now to see that fall, I think people are scared of that for one. That's a real thing, and that's a thing it is frightening. So once you're here, you want to take advantage of all that stuff and not have to deal with these things of other people trying to get up to you and reach for you, and you're scared. Instead of that, they're terrified of losing that spot, and that's where I would say, I guess, Kevin Hart is now. He's that guy, and he sees all these other people coming up trying to get him, and he feels like it's an attack. Like he feels like people are trying to take what he rightfully deserves, and now he's not.
Even that shows weakness.
Exactly. No, 100%.
Yeah,
he shouldn't feel that way. But that's where
don't we want more? Don't we want more to come through that door?
You want to bring them up, but I think the way that some of those guys are attacking him, perceived attacking him, he's like, oh, I gotta get out of this. I gotta make sure that people know I'm still here. They gotta know I'm still this guy. So instead of bringing them up and let's go, let's all do it. We're all talented. He's wanting to shut that off and cut their cord so they can't even make it. So it's one of those things, man. It sucks that we feel that way. I can see where it is, but it shows a sign of weakness on his part by not being able to just go out and handle it. Just handle the situation. I'll talk to you, we'll talk this, we'll get it figured out, and then move from there. Instead of trying to cut people off and then sabotage their careers or do stuff like that. That's weakness. Yeah. It's tough.
Yeah, like I told you, it showed more about him how he responded because it sounded super personal, and like there was some truth behind it. Like it's but I still don't like seeing it publicly, regardless of who's right or who's wrong, because it keeps that whole cycle going. Because what message are we sending to other people? So, like I said, we're gonna continue to speak on these things, especially the alpha male toxic masculinity. Anything else to segue away from that? Just anybody we keep saying there's more support now for people coming out and speaking their truth. Now, like, don't hold back. Being a man isn't being this tough and macho all the time. It's not having the most money. It really isn't, man. Yeah. It's as I've grown to appreciate my mother even more with some of the issues, and me dating somebody who has a kid. Like, so I appreciate my mother more because I'm like, shit, how did my mom do this with 5 kids? By herself. Right. So it's I think having these conversations forces us to explore parts of ourselves and how to put our stuff out there to help other people. So that's just my thoughts for it, man. Like it's this whole definition of what a real man is different for everybody. Yeah. And what is that? Can anybody really give us a definition on what that is? Right? Are there certain things we should do? Yes. Stand up for women. Yes. Do what's right. Speak the truth.
Right. And normal things,
That's which we all should do.
Yeah. Be compassionate. Show empathy. Be that guy. You don't have to be the boss dog and always be right in every situation and think that's the way to go, because it's not. So,
right. So let's guys, any questions, any comments before we get out of here? Anything I want to say? Do we got some hate going on here? Not any hate.
What time is it, Nate?
Santiago, what are you talking about, man? We don't need none of that here. I'm just going with the support of my people in here. Hope you're not saying anything negative. I ain't got time to scroll up.
It's a troll. Let's see. Anything else? We got any questions, guys? Got any questions? Anything going on? Anything you guys want to talk about? Or you want us to talk about? Let us know.
Yeah. So let me see. With all the good memories I associate with Cosby, he deserves to be in jail. Absolutely.
Sure. Yeah.
Absolutely. So, speaking of NFL, Eric Reid's back. Congrats to him signing with the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah.
But he's still kneeling. How you feel about that?
I don't get it. I get the part that he's kneeling. If he's getting his still spreading this message. No, I get that part. Sorry, like I get if he's still relaying the message. He still wants that to be a thing. I get that part. That's his right. That's fine. The only thing I have the issue with him is he's back. You know, still get your message across, but the fact that he's trying to, he's doing a lot, he's lobbying and doing things for Kaepernick still, when I don't think that's his space. I don't think he's using his voice to express that part of it. I think if Colin wants to play, I mean, he can express it himself. He's expressed everything else. Like if he wants to get back out there and he's telling people he's still available to play, then he can do that. But the fact that Eric Reid's doing it for him, it's just, I mean, it's not gonna help. But two, it's also just, it seems like it's all like, now it's becoming forced. Like it's kind of like the opposite now. Like his agenda is like to get him back in, instead of focusing on his message and what he wants to get across, and he wants to play football and the whole deal. Like I think those two need to be differentiated. So for me, that's what I feel about that situation.
But I don't know exactly, when you're one of the best safeties, top safeties in the NFL, to not be signed by anyone, to have to go to court, you know, and all of these things. Like we don't know the conversations he had behind the scenes going to court. We don't know that.
Right.
So he might be like, yo, F this. I should be here. Damn right I should be on the team.
Right.
And y'all not signing me was complete bullshit. So therefore, with that being said, because y'all know that it's wrong, I'm still going to continue to do this in your face to let y'all know that it was still wrong. Now, I'm like, that's what he wants to do for it. Now I don't know if it's on his part for his experience now. Because we know what Cap went through, and then he had to experience. I don't know anybody else who had to sit out for a year or not be signed other than Colin Kaepernick for kneeling.
Right.
To my knowledge right now, other than him. So he is experiencing. So maybe it's one thing when you're kneeling in support of Cap and you're still playing, but it's one thing now he might have a different perspective on what's it really feel like to be in his shoes now. Because I'm not being sized. Now I'm on the outside looking and being ostracized. That's a different experience versus Kaepernick not playing, him still kneeling. Now he had to go through that same experience. It was like, sit down, boy, this is what we can do to you. I think it's still courageous because it is going to rub people a certain type of way. It's going to be like, for what? Yeah. But until you like in that man's shoes, I don't know. When you feel like somebody's intentionally doing something to you because all you did was stand up for people's rights.
Right.
And just for being people. And he should always continue to do that.
100%.
Right, so
no, that part for sure. I just, like I said, my thing was the Kaepernick thing, the statement he said after. Like if he's like, if he said that and was like, I'm still the same person. I haven't changed my stance because I'm back in the NFL. That's great. Like I applaud that. But then the overemphasis on, I mean, I'm here, I'm doing this, but Colin Kaepernick should be here too. He's at home watching my kids. I'm like, I don't even know what that means. So it was just a little weird. Like it feels like it's just being put in our face, and anything like that.
Let's comment on Jerome just said. How much time we got left? Probably got like 5 minutes. Jerome said, did we see? And I do kind of want to touch on it. Did you see all the white women taking a knee to protest Kavanaugh? Do they gotta steal every goddamn thing? Anytime we do something, they take it and try to make it. And that's just the thing where I want our people to, even white people. I've been taking our shit for years. Y'all been biting and trying to make it your own. Y'all just like everything about it, but y'all love everything about us at the same time. Hair to clothes to style to everything. To fucking tanning your skin.
Yeah.
To look orange. You don't look black, you look orange. Like it's one of these things that my beef isn't with them. It's really like, guys, when are we going to see that? Just how valuable like we are. Like everything was taken from us, from rock and roll to music to everything. Like when are we going to know? It's like, guys, we are the shit. We are dope. When are we going to start to really own that and stop looking for approval? Stop looking for permission to be great or to honor our black. Like when are we going to stop that? It took a knee. Now like, everybody wants to take a knee, but everybody was against that shit.
Right.
Now it's cool to do. Like what the fuck? Like come on, man.
We live in a world where it's hard to fully,
and it's validated because they did it now.
it's when we live in a world where it's hard to fully be to exude your blackness and be who you are, because we're constantly being told that we aren't good enough. And
trying to kick us out. We ain't pay the rent.
Oh, the barrel went out?
We ain't pay the rent, guys.
But no, they're constantly telling us that we aren't good enough. And then when we have our own culture and our own people do that, and also say, like I said, when you have the guys on the top that won't let the other guys come up or bring them up, like you're constantly being told that you're not good enough. So that's been kind of imprinted in our fibers as we go along all these years. Like obviously, yes, we are talented. We like black. I mean, black is magic. Black is magic, right? So I mean, that's just what it is. But it's been hard to actually get that out and enjoy that and be that, because we're constantly being told that we aren't good enough. So it just like goes back to the psychology of what we talked about earlier with being molested or being abused or being emotionally abused. Like it's imprinted in us. So it's going to take years and years to actually break that down and see it. It's programming. So
it's like we're conditioned to not like black people. When somebody's successful, we pull them down, but we don't see it. But that's a whole other conversation. Now we want to get to. You're right, Jerome. Nike. Now they're making money off our play.
I think we're paused.
And protesting and all of these things.
I think this messed up our situation. It says
the Wi-Fi.
Live video pause.
So, man, to end the show, man, we're getting out of here, man. I think today was a great show. We're happy to be back. You guys have been awesome. We're, like I said, we're going to be, we're back now. We're both, well, Carlos leaves for a week somewhere soon.
Nah, I'm leaving. I'm back. I leave a red eye Thursday night. I'm back Monday morning on a red eye. So I'm back Monday.
Okay, so we'll be back next Monday. I don't know what the topic to be yet. I think we're going to come back with the actual topic probably Monday, but we'll see how it goes. Maybe even make it a guest or something. But we'll see. But yeah, thank you guys. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Peace out. See you next week. Tackling Live TV. Bam.
Yeah.